They already left, but you are still there. Not in the building, not in the room. In the conversation you keep replaying in the version of it that ends differently. And here's what no one has told you yet. Staying is not always about love. It is not always about fear. Sometimes staying is the only identity you have left. Marcus is 34. He manages a logistics team in a city that was never supposed to be permanent. He took the job at 27, when the offer arrived before he had a plan, and the plan never came. He stayed through the first bad manager and through the second. He stayed when his salary stalled. He stayed when his college roommate left to do the thing. Marcus had always said he would do. Every December he updates his CV. Every January he closes the tab. He tells himself he is being strategic. He tells himself the timing is not right. But the truth lives somewhere quieter than that. The truth is that leaving would mean admitting that 7 years was not a stepping stone. It was a detour he called a life. And Marcus is not alone in that room. You have been in that room too. Let me show you what is actually happening when you cannot make yourself go. In 1976, Staw at Berkeley published research on escalation of commitment. He found something that should disturb you. The more you have invested in something, the more your brain works to justify staying. Not because leaving is dangerous, but because the alternative is unbearable. The alternative is that it was always wrong. And you stayed anyway. You were not afraid of leaving. You were afraid of invalidating yourself. You kept calling it patience, because grief sounded too permanent. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed us that the pain of losing something is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining it. 2 Nobel Prizes built on that asymmetry, on the simple fact that your brain treats loss like a wound. So when you imagine leaving, your brain does not calculate freedom. It calculates everything you are surrendering. The years, the familiarity, the version of yourself that chose this. And it decides that staying is survival, even when staying is the slower disappearance. I want to talk about where this started, because it did not start with Marcus, and it did not start with you. You watched someone stay. Maybe it was a parent in a marriage that had gone quiet years before it ended. Maybe it was a parent in a job that paid the bills and nothing else. You did not learn staying from a textbook. You learned it from watching someone make peace with a life they had outgrown and call it responsibility. 2023 research from the University of Michigan found that people raised in low-resource environments show significantly higher sunk cost susceptibility, not because they are weaker, but because waste was once a genuine threat. Your grandparents could not afford to walk away. Your parents inherited that calculus, and now it lives in you as a feeling you call intuition. Staying is not a character flaw, it is a family heirloom you never asked to keep. Another birthday passes unnoticed. Another Monday feels identical. Another year becomes administrative. You tell yourself nothing is permanent while building a permanent life accidentally. Here is the part that will sit with you. The thing you are most proud of is your loyalty, your patience, your refusal to give up on things. Your belief that if you just try harder, give more, wait longer, something will finally shift. And that quality has made you remarkable in specific moments. It has made you the person people call when everything is falling apart. But I want you to sit with something. That same loyalty has kept you in rooms that stopped deserving you years ago. In relationships where you became the only one still trying, in jobs where your ceiling was decided before you walked in. In versions of yourself that you have quietly outgrown. Your greatest strength has been funding your own confinement. Some people mistake endurance for maturity. But surviving something unnecessarily does not automatically make it meaningful. The frightening part comes later, not when you first stay. When staying becomes automatic. When your dreams stop introducing themselves. When your future stops feeling personal. When survival replaces imagination. You slowly stop asking better questions, not because hope disappeared, because adaptation replaced it. That is the real danger, not staying too long, forgetting you ever wanted differently. Let me show you what this looks like from the outside. Imagine a room you built yourself, brick by brick over years. Each brick a year you stayed. Each brick a moment you chose familiar pain over unknown freedom. Your nervous system trusted this room once. That is not nothing. When the world outside felt unnavigable, this room was the thing that held. But the room does not know that the danger has passed. It does not know you are different now. It only knows it was built to keep you in. And you have been mistaking the walls for home. You already know the thing. You knew before this video started. You knew when disappointment repeated. You knew when silence felt permanent. You knew when effort became one-sided. You are not waiting for clarity. You are waiting for permission. Human beings adapt to familiar pain faster than unfamiliar freedom because predictable suffering feels safer than uncertain possibility. Your nervous system prefers known damage. Over unknown outcomes, even painful certainty feels stabilizing. The brain calls that survival. Even when it becomes confinement, you stop evaluating new futures. You start defending old decisions. That is how people disappear without physically going anywhere. Here is what the research says. When this pattern runs long enough, MIT neuroimaging work published in 2019 showed that prolonged sunk cost reasoning suppresses activity in the orbitofrontal cortex, the region your brain uses to evaluate new options. Your brain does not just feel reluctant to leave. It becomes structurally worse at seeing the door. The longer you stay, the more your perception narrows until the situation you are in starts to feel like the only situation possible. This is not weakness. This is neurology, and neurology can be interrupted. Here is what I want to leave you with, not a list, not an instruction. One question. If I had arrived here today with no history behind me, no years invested, no identity built around this, would I choose this? Not would I tolerate it, not could I survive it, would I choose it? That question bypasses the sunk cost. It bypasses the loss aversion. It strips the room back to its walls and asks you to see them clearly. You do not have to leave today. You do not have to decide anything right now. But you do have to stop pretending you have not already answered. Think about the thing. You have stayed in longest. Not the most dramatic. The quietest one. The one you have given the most reasonable excuses. Tell me in the comments what the first excuse was and how many years ago you first made it. One day the door opens naturally. No dramatic ending, no final argument, just a quiet realization. You could have left years earlier, and the saddest part is this. Some version of you knew that the entire time.